It's defined as the feeling that time is moving faster and faster, especially as people get older. Mm-hmm. And I think in general, these three poems are kind of a coming of age arc semi, so it makes sense that this is from 2 years ago. Like swallowing the spreading sheen, iridescent, orange sky punctured like nosebleeds, I blow out the candle and say, this is how I want it to be opened. All the apples cut too soon in the basement, a mother ashen in the doorway flung open, a staircase after the main action, the smell of mahogany like red dirt after a rains, New England autumns in the parting sky. This is how you become someone you don't understand. And it's spring, and we're by the lake, and the geese are singing the national anthem, and their sails like dreams or cars or everything that slipped under the bridge while you were sleeping. Would you spin the world backwards just to keep it all the same? The stars above the little league, cosmos of tangles yet vibrant in the falling. It won't ever be the same, but I don't love it any less. And maybe that's growth, or maybe that's forgiving. But you press your chest to the earth and let it all echo like a heartbeat. The treehouse your grandparents invested with termites, elementary diploma fallen through the cracks of bed frames, birthday party balloons sticky and swallowed inside out, afternoons where time stretches too thin and clouds look like craters, and you look at the sky and start crying and crying and can't taste the salt on your lips, but the horizon is shattering into moonlight, glass, and anchors. And so you return to the sea and kick sand into the waves. And when you're tired and breathless, you whisper into my ear, do you see that? Do you see how much the world blurs when you're not inside it? And I don't. But how do I tell you that it's not your fault? That sometimes time is so misunderstood that the moons start to falter. And in the falling, I count the grains of sand in your hair. And you tell me this is how you hold everything that is moving. This is how you teach yourself to live. And the next one is called Winter Back. And there's some lines from Frank Sinatra, which I'm sure you'll probably recognize. So here we go. Oboe solo years later, droplets lining the moss cold windowsill as she clips my nails like fighting blue soldiers in the lighthouse. Our glows caught on the bootstraps of summer nights, coughing radios, yarn on barbed wire, yesterday's prayers already 2 trains away. The hole in my stomach recoils around my mother's last real breath, my first real becoming, timelines splintered ages apart, now standing in green coats in the winter light, shadow cut out like a fallen door. Coming back is a matter of enunciation, hold on to every last beating thought of more. Rain radioactive, the sun with its face on fire. I read, dying soldiers only cry for their mothers, never fathers. Yet this was never a battle, only summer, small and stupid, daughter, colds and rushing past. There is no time to spin fates into golds, nostalgia into heartbeats, the bathroom floor into a chest between hollow sleeves, fabric colds when not touching. Fly me to the moon. Gripping telephone wires as if electricity could give back time. Furniture with the lights angled down, her hand on top of mine on the blue umbrella. I read 3.68 AU between Jupiter and Mars. Distance between remembering and reviving. Mother says, I feel like I've lost everything. I am 16, comets bleeding into origami wings. What about me? I don't ask, just lay there and count her eyelashes, unloaded gun wrapped in damp newspapers, our embrace a silhouette of snow. And the last one was the one 2 days ago that I wrote at 1 a.m. when I was texting you guys about. And it's called Letter to the Terrified Versions of Myself, because it's kind of a response to another piece I wrote 2 years ago. And it's the first piece that has ever really been recognized in a big public setting. And it was kind of a series of vignettes and shapes in the shape of letters to past versions of myself. And so this is the letter to that letter, I guess. Tell me I will get to forget you again. Standing at the intersection, light years away, red shifted, your hands opening like heartbeats, blood flow to the left atrium, a C-section, a voicemail, chest notation, empty airport, synonyms for a version of yourself, holdable and just vowels, tiptoed, tip-tongued into the aftermath, a sprint with no beginning, only after, into blizzard, spinning, cut scene. The rain like tomorrow, the sidewalk like today, the sky has forgotten how to hold, no more to cling onto when the light turns green, the climax snaring in semicircular canals like a man shifting with his hands on fire. How you thought the sky would eat us all. LA lights, choked hotels, you said you promise me a conclusion, but I wrote this letter not to comfort, but to become. The theater with the gilt iron screenplays and voice-drenching ricochet. This is not my Scheherazade. This is just another night. I have no more stories to tell you. In another life, you scaled a water tower and never came down. Hands merging into metal, irons precipitating blue, eyes locked on a deity version of you. You don't have to know anything just yet or ever. Nietzsche says, in some remote corner of the universe, poured out and glittering in innumerable solar systems, there was once a star on which some clever animals invented knowledge. Invented you, invented loving, invented the whole worlds beyond the boiling water, the frost blaze cavalry, a million suns flying and flying apart. December. You open the Phil Lynn's refrigerator to look for blue cabbage and instead find your mother's last apology. Rosetta Stone for the light through the cracks of our door. Wasona Lake in the downpour, hands clasped around the same umbrella, asking, why are the reindeer lights still on? January, make me a lullaby, make me an elegy. Tell me it's okay to breathe like summer before freshman year, like summer. I want to give you the world, but you don't know how to hold it yet. I don't know how to leave it yet. I don't know how to hold you yet. You don't know how to hold me yet. And I forgive you if you can forgive me. Tell me you will forget me when this poem ends. Put on your white boots and call your grandmother at the gas station crying. In Campbell's biology, the deoxygenated blood always flows first. Right atrium, right ventricle, pulmonary veins, and then left, right into the 2 years you have left. Between you and me, sunlight burning a hole through the fire escape. 2 egg tarts, golden glazed. Tell me this is fire after all. The sweetness of sugar on your fingertips. The vibrations of a song you can't comprehend. Tell me this isn't the end. Tell me you will get to forget me again. You will get to forgive me again. Tell me we are both so strong.
Thank you very much. It's a great group. They have undertaken many great projects. For example, Parents Helping Parents Workshop. Thank you, Sage. That's great. And then they are putting together an anthology of youth poetry, and that is now accepting submissions. And they've also are putting together a mural project with local color, and that to be executed at History Park San Jose. So you can look at our website or Instagram account for more information about these projects and others and how to participate. Hope Luong, our Santa Clara County Poet Laureate for 23-24, is a Vietnamese-American poet, artist, an advocate based in San Jose. Her writing and art have been recognized by the New York Times, YoungArts, the Scholastic Art and Writing Awards, and various other galleries. She serves as San Jose D4 Youth Commissioner and is the founder of Learn for Justice, an international youth organization providing justice-oriented humanities education to underserved students. She is very enthusiastic about superhero films, youth civic engagement, and playing guitar very badly. You should do a workshop on time management. I'd be like right there, the first one to do it over and over again. Please welcome. Hope Luong.
All right. So I have a random assortment of like 4 poems. The first 2 are lighter. The last 2 are heavier. So trigger warning for like violent imagery and generational trauma and all that good stuff for the last 2. But my first one is a soft poem, which I never write if you know me. And it's about Taiwan. I visited like a few months ago for a study abroad program, and it's just one of those places that I visited in my life that has just stuck with me. So it's about Taiwan and the people that I met there. Titled At Midnight, I Dream My Way Back to Taiwan. On an unnamed mountaintop in Sijin, we burn the flashlights and watch the strays slink through the streets. I clutch your gossamer hand as we take Polaroids in the dark, rejoicing in the intangibility of our bodies, as if knowing a person is etching gravel into our thighs, dangling feet over the edge of the ocean, brimming yellow with nightlight. At least, this is what I remember of Taiwan. My tongue skipping rope over Mandarin fricatives, and us skipping dinner to wander through endless night market, meat aroma twisting into memory. You, as always, wanted to try new things, shriveling your nose at the stinky tofu and chugging papaya milk. I laughed at how you fumbled with your coins, but never failed to bargain, flirting with the shopkeepers. I cried the night before we left. I wanted to be with you, not rolling luggage down smooth-throated escalators back to America. When the bus came, I lay against window and the periwinkle sky winked me back to sleep. It's the night where you found me on the balcony, watching you and seeing home. That's it. And my second one is about being stressed. Yeah, laugh at that. I know, right? And it is titled, Why Am I in a Rush to Live? I don't think about dying that often, except to contemplate the merits of a life well lived. No, I just think about work, the endless quality of it, the gentle crushing of my soul. Even as I sip my soup, I think about emails, unsent. That's the problem. Their non-existence, ever present, papers and books, unread, unwritten, to-do lists snaking around my throat, running from them and running towards those empty boxes. It is delusion to think they could fill me, but I run anyways. And then third little short one that's a little heavier, which I wrote, I think a few months ago, on social media, kind of watching what's happening in Israel and Palestine, and that weird feeling of guilt and like hopelessness, but also like privilege as you're sitting in your bed and like watching these atrocities unfold half the world away. It's titled, Remember the Present is the Summation of Past and Future. I've cried so many times today, my cheeks drip down my tears, because the cost of genocide is quiet girl with bloody hands, hunched into her bed like child seeking quiet, except there is no silence in murder. There's fire and fire and fire and fire and entrails wrenched in bows, over $14 billion in aid. History has never been ours. Heady like I'm dizzy and glance down to find tar from the bullet holes dripping salty down my face. Tar from the bullet holes emerged from bullet blue light of my computer, growing unwanted on the altar or shrine. I don't know anymore. I'm just watching this blackness like occupation, black like resurrection. In blackness, we resurrect, make ours what has always been ours. Okay, and for my last one, which is the long one, best for last, it is also has something to do with, I wrote it today, by the way, after AP Go. And it is titled, "And This Is How the Story Ends." My government teacher is talking about Palestine, and I'm thinking about my grandmother fleeing a war that was never hers in the first place. How in 1968, in the aftermath of the My Lai massacre, American surgeon says when you get into combat, it's either you or the enemy. I think of the audacity of imperial hands, their melting quality, stripping wax and flesh from my fingers. And this is how the story ends. With mothers born into bullets, mothered by tiger traps and tiger moms, the language of displacement become common tongue, mine still twisting around truth. I think about my country as if it is a child, bloated and bleeding, and yet he yaps at another mother's teat, hungry for the land of milk and honey, while choking on his money. This is how the story ends, with starving, with a child ripped apart by its own guts, by broken campaign promises, politicians who care more about power than the people, preaching peace and throwing pieces of my country back into my throat. Because what is peace but quiet, and what is quiet but the absence of resistance? Mostly I think about grief splattered across my feed, the steady consumption of destruction, like self-fulfilling prophecy, the snake that eats the tail, the snake in my mind, scales like bodies wrapped in gauze, wrapped in the blood of nation states. The irony is that no life is worth more than the other, but we bicker over death as if massacre is a healing, as if erasure is the answer to eons of embattlement. And this is how the story ends, with another story, its passage like mouth to mouth, resuscitation passed down from grandmother to me. It ends with the child that started it all, with wounds and whispering women dreaming of home, dreaming of light, dreaming of remembering of home.
Another round of applause for our poets. We have an open mic tonight, and so if you would like to join in the open mic, the tablet is there, or if you haven't put your name on the tablet, you can just sign me. And then also people in the Zoom room, if you want to put your name in the chat, that'd be great. And then I will call you up. All right. And we have books here at the end of the table. All right. And if folks want a book in chat, let me know. All right. So.
I'll just throw money at you.
I'll take it. You've been more. Thank you. Now for the open mic, please welcome Larry Hollis. Larry! Woo!
Since we have young people, I thought I'd get a little sophomoric here and read some shitty haiku. Actually, I got this from an article in Poetry Magazine entitled Haiku and Shit. So you can look it up and read it yourself. So I got 6, 3 are mine and 3 are Japanese haiku masters. First one is Busan's. Being haiku, I'll read them twice. Fallen red blossoms appear to be ablaze on clumps of horseshit. fallen red plum blossoms appeared to be ablaze on clumps of horseshit. This is Esau. When you show it some sympathy, the baby swallow takes a crap on you. When you show it some sympathy, the baby swallow takes a crap on you. And this is shows on. Unnoticed, I release an easy fart. Staying indoors this winter. Unnoticed, I release an easy fart. Staying indoors this winter. These are mine. When the wild cherries are ripe, do not hang your clothes out to dry. Birds poop red dye. When the wild cherries are ripe, do not hang your clothes out to dry. Birds poop red dye. A mob of crows wait for cars to leave the car wash. Fresh targets to bomb. A mob of crows wait for cars to leave the car wash. Fresh targets to bomb. This one, last one's not technically a haiku, but it'd be a modern haiku, we'll say. Writing poetry in the park, a bird flies overhead. Lost a whole stanza. Writing poetry in a park, a bird flies overhead. Lost a whole stanza.
Thank you, Larry. Now, please welcome Mike to the microphone. Thank you. Yes.
This is here. I just want to do, because Lorenz pointed this out, but I'm gonna admonish myself right now. See what I'm doing? Like, am I looking at myself?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah. Anyhow, that's for you, Lorenz. You weirdo. Hello, everybody. Good evening. I wanted to point out a couple things too. Because the San Jose Poetry Slam, which is also a program of Poetry Center San Jose, because we lost our venue, we're going to be this weekend, this Sunday, we're going to actually be on Zoom as well. So you can get more information. You'll be able to get more information through pcsj.org as well for that. There was something else I was going to mention. And third Thursday. Well, yeah, Rob mentioned third Thursday. And we're also going to be restarting Poets at Play. So if you're looking for workshops, if you're looking for in a really lovely environment over at History Park, please you get more. We'll have more information up on pcsj.org as well. I'm going to read a poem by Ross Gay, which then generated a poetry prompt that a friend gave me, which then generated my poem. So I'm going to read Ross Gay's poem first, and then just because it's generational, you know, in terms of poems. So, and this, I just think it's a lovely poem. If I can find it. This is called "Sorrow Is Not My Name" by Ross Gay, and I'm reading it off the website from Poetry Foundation. And this is after Gwendolyn Brooks. No matter the pool toward brink, no matter the florid deep sleep awaits, there is a time for everything. Look, okay, just this morning, a vulture nodded his red grizzled head at me. And I looked at him, admiring the sickle of his beak. Then the wind kicked up, and after arranging that good suit of feathers, he up and took off. Just like that. And to boot, there are on this planet alone something like 2 million naturally occurring sweet things. Some with names so generous as to kick the steel from my knees. Agave, persimmon, stickball, the purple okra I bought for $2 at the market. Think of that. The long night, the skeleton in the mirror, the man behind me on the bus taking notes. Yeah, but look, my niece is running through a field, calling my name. My neighbor sings like an angel, and at the end of my block is a basketball court. I remember. My color's green. I'm spring. Ross Gay. Thank you. Now, so a buddy of mine in Chicago, same as Robbie Q, good dude, does this online workshop every Thursday. And one night he did this, he came up with this workshop, and he said, he read that poem, and he said, now think of 10, just 10 of the 2 million naturally occurring sweet things in your world, right? Think of 10 of them, make a list. So I wrote 10. And he said, now pick one. And now I want you to write a poem. So I'll give you an example. Like I wrote, my 11-year-old niece, Mariana, sent me an image of a ladybug because she thought it was pretty and wanted me to enjoy it. And it made me weep. That's one thing, okay? A village playing soccer, right? I've always seen, like, I remember as a kid playing soccer in the street, but then thinking about like a place where the only thing you have is a soccer ball, if you even have a soccer ball, you know? The scent of mock orange blossoms and a cool breeze, kisses, you know, that sort of thing, right? Those are some of my sweet things. And so then the prompt was, take one of those naturally occurring sweet things and write about what it thinks of death. So this is what I wrote. I selected a village playing football. A village plays football in the street or watches with anticipation from kitchen windows. Death sits on the roof of a crumbling building, rooting for neither side. Death calls it soccer. He is becoming more American each year. Everyone in the neighborhood has seen Death hanging around for some time now. They see him at cafes and on buses. He used to live at the hospital until that fell down. Today, they don't know he's watching. It's too hard to detect him when everyone's laughing so well. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mike. And happy birthday.
It's his birthday Friday.
Here's the book that's at the end of the table for those in the Zoom room that Sage so kindly provided to us here. And so if that's of interest, see, all right, can you see it? Can you see it? Yeah. Okay. All right. Now, please welcome to the mic, Lawrence.
Oh, you're gonna jump me. You can jump me all you want. It's okay. I already know I'm gonna get jumped. It's okay. We're gonna do 2 pieces today. For a bee friend I call Polly Bumbles. Bee rested on me today as I sat on a bench. I did not notice until Mike McGee pointed the little one out. They were still, and I had nowhere to go. Do not know if this bee was ancestor, a spirit from Gaza, or simply a new soul. But I quietly prayed for the tiny one, called them friend, and felt blessed to experience this unexpected peace. We acknowledged each other, or at least felt seen by this minute creature before me. I am a grown-ass man with an imagination that gets carried away with his loving mind of mine. After about half an hour of being this bee's home, my friend Mike tells me they might be on their last leg, and this is why the bee has been on me for so long. In my head, I wanted to grab string, thread, sticks, and whatever to make a kite, fly it in memory, in hope, in constant connection. My heart still breaks for Rafik Alia and his family, for a whole country and its people killed, especially its children, and all those living between the river and sea, not knowing how far the arms of genocide will reach and annihilate all the love, all that I loved and knew. Little bee, when you return to this life, I hope Palestine will be free and given everything to try to recover and heal. My little friend, tell me love is still valued enough and still worth breaking all the barriers that believe love should not exist. Your presence keep me tender and wanting to remain a soft shoulder for all to feel rest. I do not know if you will fly again, but this poem is your kite, love, flying for you and all that want to hope to be more than a dream, but a revolution ready to wash out the fires of oppression.
You.
Manatees use farts to help navigate themselves through the different depths of water. Beautiful, buoyant balloon balancing natural gases within to access the many different levels around. I have fart memories. I am not manatee with them though. I wish I was. I release and sink myself without thought, burying myself within these kelps, wanting to just drown myself there. Or I hold on, afraid I will never see surface again if I do, trying to ignore all these memories in me because it hurts to acknowledge that they are there. I want to manatee better, work with these farting memories and maybe get to these moments of vegetations ready to be eaten by me with the light. Hold on certain fart memories long enough so that I have reason and capabilities not to soak myself into what feels abysmal. How natural these memories of farts, how sacred of an air to keep us afloat, to let go enough for us to reach the places waiting for us to arrive.
Thank you, Lauren. Thank you to our open mic readers. Thank you to our Poets Laureate and our Poetry Ambassador. Thank you all for coming tonight. That's the show, unless there is somebody else who would like to join in the open mic. Yes? Come on down. I got my number on it. Go ahead, go ahead. You want to? Here's Brandon Lou right here. Come on, Brandon Lou.
I can read 2, maybe 3. I think we got time for that, right?
4, 5.
You know, just keep counting. What do we leave behind? Anger. So much anger. What do we do with it all when we can no longer hold it back, when we feel so much for what hurts us, for what hurts others, for what hurts the lives of those that can go on no longer, the lives of those that cannot hurt anymore? A neck can snap like splintered wood under a heavy boot, but the trees of the forest only grow thicker. We can echo our hate for years, let it come down like an avalanche in a desolate valley. But it does not nourish our young, it buries them. We can let hate burn inside us until we are burning homes and cars and inhaling the fumes of the fallen, and we are burning ourselves the way fire feeds on itself. We can throw bats at windows, watch them break glass like bullets break bones, refract, refrain. How can we abstain from this pain? I have a crosshair steadied on my target, but I am not aiming for a head. I am aiming for a heart to change. Thank you. This next one is called Letting Go. Not everyone can say something and mean it. as though they were breathing in the scent of a loved one, before heading off to bed, or out at dawn when it is still too dark to see, their breath frigid in the air, and the only words left hanging are the ones that come naturally, but not easily, to the person standing at the door that held them in their sleep and listened deeply to their thoughts in the night before letting them know, I'm thinking of you too. Here, the sun can rise as slowly as needed. The light changes colors through the filtered window. What is it about the morning sun that turns regret to forgiveness, that compels us to lay bare truth without hiding? The porch is not an altar, but the most sensitive things are often said here. Know that when you go, it might always be the last time. So let me give a prayer in the form of a goodbye. Thank you. And how do I top myself sometimes? Like, I'm kidding. I'll read one more time. This one is called, I'm not sure, I'll read this old one. Twilight. In the backyard of the moment, the flies don't care if you're sad. The dog will sniff at your pants without asking how you're doing. And the sun will continue to set while the birds chatter and warble in the corner of your ears. The clover doesn't want to listen to your problems. It is too busy trying to bloom in the hard California soil as it does every year. Even under skies this blue, the wind remains convinced that it is winter, the chill apparent at the creases of your brow. How quaint, then, that the upturned wheelbarrow is covered with an old rice bag in case it rains. No one will notice if you sigh in the breeze. The garden is lonely enough without you. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon. We're gonna bring in chocolate from outer space. Let's go! All the chocolate.
Hey guys, can you guys hear me okay?
Yep. Yeah. Two thumbs up.
I wish I was there actually. I hurt my ankle, so I can't put weight on it, but the poets are just amazing. I hate calling them, Mike says it all the time. I don't want to call them youth poets. These poets that happen to be younger. Absolutely amazing. Anyway, I'm gonna jump to this poem. It's called No Holy. If a body falls into a ditch and no one is around to hear the sound because the fell was broken by the bulleted flesh of its family's corpses, did the massacre never happen? If there's no sound when those hands cast by a callous grip with evil woven into its fingers are clenched around a throat where its placement can be both crucible and crucified, does anyone acknowledge the unmarked graves? Graves uncovered by the archaeology of thousands of years of disputed possession. And if there's no sound to autopsy the sin of the man and it's left to proof, does its evil not leave breadcrumbs for generations to come to follow the same lifeline? See, these questions breed encyclical. It's bittersweet what men can do with their hands and the lifelines they hold in their palms. These same hands that spell I love you across their babies' foreheads, those same hands will undo the men, will use touch to whisper lies and steal birthrights. But I wonder, right? I wonder what you'll tell the children when it's all done and they grow up mispronouncing the word lineage because of all that orphan is still busy occupying their mouths. No child who has felt their throats turned ash will tell you that they cannot speak the language of struggle. No child whose skin has been warmed by shrapnel will tell you their bodies weren't fashioned for this type of torment. No child wants their joy squeezed from their eyes like sap. The memory of their father's goodbye on their lips. They're begging the breath to stay in their mother's chests, but they have still. And still, we see them playing amongst the rubble with the taste of death in their mouths. Their hearts are bigger than their bodies. Their love is bigger than borders. Their love is bigger than the state of men. And if then we agree that a daughter is a child of a once person, and then a son, a pope of a family once grown, is then the children from the soil of the nation claimed as an enemy also the same enemy? If so, is then their humanity not abandoned in an orphanage of their ancestors' lost quarrels? Are they not left mourning a kind of death they will never understand? If then, where is the salvation in that? Tell me, how does Jerusalem pull that by both arms still hold on to God? Help me reconcile all of this destruction, because in 1,000 years, we will be dust, a small particle in the history of you and us and them. What you will teach them about what you've seen and done will only be the almost whole of them, will be a body in gibbous moon, will be a prairie of skin open for repossession and construction. In 1,000 years, within the shape of denial, you would have made a promise to yourselves on the spine of an unpublished holy book to tell how their children were drawn out of the ambiguity of verse, and how in your exquisite virtue of your great holy, you were gracious enough to remember them as merely beautiful, as a slight of glory, as a byproduct of conquest and terror. And in 1,000 years, they will be an erasure poem where the only black left visible is a fragmented history with a redacted truth that you will lie gently into your children as religion. And afterwards, the bend becomes the break. And the heart wants to beat again to the sound of a mother's laugh, of his uncle's smile through grit teeth, but there will be nothing except a haunting melody that denies sound. And in the melancholy sea of silent screams, they will have to play amongst the rubble with the taste of death in their mouths. 1,000 years later, will these children of quarrel have to remember that most of what is taken is done so by the hands of men? Will they still have to muffle the deafening sound of a repurposed Holocaust with the sound of mortar shells after thousands of years, with their hearts bigger than their bodies, their love bigger than borders, their love bigger than the state of men? Will they still have to suffer an Armageddon they never, ever asked for? Help me understand. Where is the salvation in that? Where is the holy in that? Thank you.
Thank you, Shaka. Now, please welcome to the mic and closing us for the evening. Welcome, Sergio Herrera.
Tres poemas de Mario Santiago Papasquiaro. Leopoldo María. Jeringa sobre cráter, la mirada desviada, el greñero sin control, mi paisaje es siempre. Algo que cerca, hipnotiza y avasalla, el fantasma del tufo exterior, disfrazado de caramelo interno, una convulsión refrigerada que se vuelve realidad. El avión se rompió, se quemó mi conciencia, pestes del sueño de tenerme a escribir, aullar, gemir, chupar. Mi chamarra es mi pellejo, mi pedazo de jerga, mi espejo de lidia, ya todo vacío y en derrumbe, y no precisamente mudas estas puntuales ratas que roen el humo transparente de mi hojalata verde. Estas dos puntuales ratas que se olvidaron de mi nombre, Sergio Herrera. Humus hubo, hay y habrá, ya ni sudo ni río. Derribo a veces bichos, otras noches soy su plato. La música agujera siempre, vuelve real lo velado, bañada la luna en sangre. Los libros son pura máscara. La rana se convierte en príncipe, en oro la selva negra. Mejor este cuchillo cierto, esta escultura de pólvora, este hedor increscendo. Hocico con hocico, vivir me costó la vibra, adentrarme la esperanza. Lo dice mi culo al sentir la bruma. Este sueño es gris. Yo, yo soy la lápida. Thank you. One blood. You were born of the semen of Gerard de Nerval, precisely at the base of the gallows. From his radiant, ruined eyes, from the entrails of his immaculate clairvoyance, from his powerful, overworldly mind, from his knee-scarred and singular destiny. You burst forth, looking for me, confronting the impossible oceans, sitting loose to free will of the storms, as it were, in order to kiss all my wounds and shores at the winged feet of the same wallows, from which I too was born. Thank you. Para Javier Cortázar, ahijado, puerperal de la ciudad luz, caleidoscopio arlequín de sus espectros, brujo tallado en sus boques y empedrados, cocido para el fin de los tiempos a la flor de su coraza, oficio en silencio. Esta misa quebradita, porque sí, porque las puertas, bajo la ojera de las ojivas de los puentes, bajo la ojera de la ojiva de los puentes, donde la maga me va a regalar hoy el resplandor del sol. Gracias.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. Thank you, Works. Thank you. Sage.
We really did. Oh my God, you're so It was so good. Oh my God. Good.